Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome in for Friday, May 29th, Safety Focus of the Week edition. Should be a nice day all in all. Looks like maybe some spotty isolated showers in the afternoon. Maybe we can get some much needed rain this weekend. Yards are looking pretty dry out there, but hope everybody's doing well and safe. This week, code of conduct is to drive safely, defensively, and courteously. It's one of our big exposures out there is the amount of miles we put on each and every day, big exposure, and we're going to see more and more people on the roadways in the next coming weeks as Governor Phil Scott is continually kind of opening up the spigot, as he likes to call it. And we're expecting to see more come today, such as maybe having social gatherings up to 25 people and more opening up of restaurants and those types of establishments. If anything new changes from ECI operations, we will be in touch through all of our communication via emails and push notifications. So let's drive safely out there. And one point of defensively is kind of, it alludes to the virus at the same point, is it's all about distancing, social distancing, and driving defensively is all about giving yourself enough time to see what's coming and to be able to have enough time to maneuver out of the way of a collision or an accident, an approaching vehicle. So just, again, it's all about distancing yourself out there on the roadway so you can have time to get out of a situation. So this week we're going to talk about heat stress. We had our first real warm up on Wednesday. It was a very hot and humid day, and yesterday was pretty humid today. And today's supposed to be cooling down a little bit, and definitely by next week after this front comes in, we're looking like we're going to get back into some cooler temperatures. But it's important that we kind of highlight now so we're all prepared and we know what to look for regarding heat stress. It is a kind of a biological hazard. So it's something that we need to make sure that we're utilizing the JHAs, kind of planning ahead, making sure that we have ice water, figure out where good points of shade is, and also just making sure that we're doing good admin control, such as rotating and also monitoring each other's conditions and how we're feeling so we can give enough breaks so people don't be overcome with heat stress. So heat stress really is broken down into four different types of injuries. The first one is kind of heat rash. It's redness, raised rash. It happens on your skin and impairs your sweating and decreases effectiveness of sweating. So when our body starts sweating, it's a magnet. It's the way that we kind of cool our body temperature down is by sweating. Our glands open up, and when our glands close up, that's when we start seeing those heat rashes. And that's kind of some of the first signs of potential heat stress exposure. So those individuals that have heat rash hopefully kind of know their conditions and know that they're acceptable, and that should be really practicing best precautionary measures, such as always being hydrated, but also letting their supervisor know they might need frequent breaks in those hot days. You know, if it's every 2 hours, you take a 10-minute break type of thing to kind of keep your body temperature under control and keep your heat rash under control. The second kind of potential is heat cramps, and that usually happens after the heat rash. As the heat cramps happens when muscle cramps, pain, and spasms in your legs, arms, it's more your extremities is where you start seeing some heat cramps. Is you're dehydrated and you really just start cramping up like you would with doing some stringent running or exercising. It's the same thing, but just the heat is dehydrating you so bad that you start cramping up. The next is heat exhaustion. This is pretty serious. It can be a very serious situation if someone does become overcome by heat. Your skin becomes very moist and clampy. You pretty much have stopped sweating at this point in time. Your pupils are dilated. Normal or subnormal temperatures regarding your body temperature. You become dizziness. Nausea is also a sign or symptom of heat exhaustion. very weak pulse and rapid breathing, you're really starting to really push your body and become really very overheated. And then the last and the most deadly is when you don't recognize these signs or symptoms and you keep pushing through it, is that heat stroke. This is something that could put you in a coma. You become unconsciousness. This is when the 911 calls are happening, when this heat exhaustion, heat stroke, it can happen very, very fast. So it's very important for us to monitor each other and communicate when we're not feeling well out there in the field regarding these hot days that we get, above 90 degrees with high humidity when we're doing very stringent work. It's very important that we communicate that in the JHA in the morning and talk about all of our precautionary measures that we're going to talk about here soon. So really, kind of went over some of the injuries and illnesses that occur with heat stress, and here's the primary factors. It's all about the environment, the air temperature and the humidity with the sun, or how long we're going to be out there. And then the next part of the equation is kind of the worker. Are we hydrated? What type of clothing are we wearing? Is there any underlying medical conditions? And also, being acclimatized to the environment. We went from about 45-degree temperatures about 3 weeks ago to 95. So our bodies definitely weren't ready for what happened to us this week. And it's going to take us a little bit. It usually takes about 2 weeks for us to get acclimatized to our environment. So hopefully it'll be kind of more of a gradual warm up, and it's looking like next week's going to be a better week, more in the 70s, not in the low 90s. And then then the last part of the equation is the work, the amount of work done and how much effort it will take to complete the job. So to highlight each primary factor, we want to make sure we're planning ahead, have a good plan to prevent heat stress. So if we're doing a really high exposure, a long duration, stringent job, it's maybe good to kind of schedule it really early in the morning, maybe even before 6 if we can, to try to bust it out before that sun gets really hot, because it's always in the afternoon. It's really around from that 2 to 5 windows where we see the biggest risks with heat stress is in the afternoon. So if we can kind of plan that work environment, make sure all of our workers have the ice and water, everything is available in the tool crib, but make sure we have plenty on site, and also provide, really a good rule of thumb is every 2 hours, a quick little 10-minute break, get some water, get in the shade, get out of the sun, to keep everybody feeling well. So some more preventive tips regarding preventing heat stress out there on our job sites. Again, avoid alcohol and caffeine and other types of drinks such as soda. That doesn't really quite give you the hydration that you need for your body. So water. Sometimes you can drink too much water, so it's also good that you put in some type of supplement with electrolytes, kind of like sports drinks. We do have some electrolyte kind of packets will be available in the tool crib as we're getting ready for heat stress. And then another thing that we're looking into, the technology is really starting to change regarding kind of cooling devices, since OSHA's put out a big push about heat stress. So there's all these little things that can kind of go around your neck that can be incorporated in vests, things like that, to try to kind of keep our body temperature down and to help provide some type of shade. So there's also these hard hat things. They kind of go around your hard hat and help prevent more shade kind of over your neck and back, to help also keep your body temperature down. And then again, that kind of take a 10 to 15 minute break every 2 hours in those high stringent work environments on those really hot days is a best practice. I wanted to quickly kind of talk about facial coverings regarding this warm weather. There is some guidance coming down that we're hearing from the AGC. So I'll just quickly share this one. So employees who experience difficulty breathing or discomfort as a result of heat while wearing a facial covering, we should remove the coverings until the discomfort eases. However, if the employee decides to remove the facial covering, they should continue to practice social distancing. Again, that's staying more than 6 feet away from your peers when they come in contact with others, and also sneeze or cough into their elbow or some type of tissue handkerchief situation, and then wash your hands as needed with hand sanitizers or warm water and soap. And then lastly is just a really good tool that I use that is available on all the tablets. Brendan already put them on all of our Android tablets. It's this app that OSHA and NIOSH created called the Heat Safety Tool. And it's a really good tool to use on the day. It really breaks out your day, and it really goes through hour by hour, and it kind of puts kind of a risk level where it's moderate, low, or I'm sorry, minor, low, moderate, high, and extreme. And it's all kind of based down, and there's some really good kind of first aid measures in there. There's just some really good tips and tricks to help keep us safe from heat stress. So I stress everyone to kind of start doing a daily check-in on this app that's available on the tablet. And if you want to put it on your phone, it's really easy to find on the Android or Apple or store. Just type in OSHA NIOSH Heat Safety Tool, and this is what it looks like. And this on this left slide here with the sun, very, very nice and well done app that really goes through exactly what we just talked about, but also really breaks it down day by day, so you can help kind of plan your day regarding when the highest exposure to heat stress could be. So again, the equation to help prevent heat stress is water, rest, and shade. Work can't get done without you guys as workers. So it's very important that we take care of our most valuable resources, and that's our workforce. With that said, that's all I have for the safety presentation for this week. So let's be safe out there and monitor those hot heat days. We'll keep sending out push notifications when we seem fit that we should be wearing shorts or not. So Ken, I'll pass it over to you for your presentation.
Okay, Matt. Okay.
I can hear you, Ken. You are now the presenter.
Okay, thanks. I'll switch to my screen here. Okay, everyone see the email of the week?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So let's see, announcements. Congratulations to Adam Piper, our newest field operations manager. And also we have some new hires. We have Dylan Brown, a skilled laborer, Tony Gamache, an operator, Tucker Parody, field engineer. And continuing on with these regular announcements, the 401k participants, we're suggesting you contact Pam Driver for some education consultations. And if you have also on the other administrative issues, make sure your time cards or your time is reported. No longer time cards, but report your time. Pretty much daily is the best way to do it, but everything has to be done in a way that it's available for the accounting department to process it early on Monday mornings. Again, the paychecks are sent out regular mail, and including stubs. And also, don't come to the office for any administrative business. Call first, and transactions, if they're required, will be coordinated by phone. So we got some pictures of our new employees, Dylan Brown and Tony Gamache and Tucker. And this is Bernie Charlin. This is from last week's announcement without photos, so we're putting photos this week on here. And Connor Lessard, and that's Jacob Berno. So Jacob, looks like maybe this is a graduation photo or something. I think that both Jacob and Tucker graduated from UVM. I assume they've graduated. It, of course, is kind of a weird year for any kind of senior year and graduation from any place. So hopefully everything came together well for them, so they don't have to follow up with any extra coursework. So also we have the ECI protocols. We'll add that one that you just presented, Matt, to this list for next week. These can be accessed by clicking on that link, any of those links. For the project this week, we're showing the Verizon Wireless project called the VZW South Burlington 5 or V5. And that's on South Remo or San Remo Drive in South Burlington. Oh, I just got a notice that Jacob was UNH. Sorry, Jacob. Tucker's UVM, I believe. So back to the Verizon Wireless project. We recently completed the new cellular tower foundation on San Remo Drive for Johnson Electric. ECI subcontracted the design services to Dubois and King. That was Mr. Tim Dahl, and for the structural design, we engaged Sanborn Head, Dr. Sean Kelly for the geotechnical design. We're capable to do pretty much all this in-house, but sometimes it's good to have an independent consultant, and in this case, we decided to go that way. So this is a sketch there from Tim Dahl and Dubois and King. It shows it's a section or an elevation on the front face of the pile cap, and you can see that the concrete dimensions there. It doesn't show the width, but we'll talk about it later. It's 7 foot wide, and it's 4.5 feet thick with the piles embedded in from the ground below, and then the monopole, which I believe is a 60-foot monopole on the top. So our scope of work was to design, build the tower foundation, which we selected as a pile-supported pile cap, and the owner provided a test boring showing fine soils, not a fine, but fine soils, meaning silts and fine sands and clays, to a depth of at least 50 feet, which formed the basis of our Stelcor grouted pile system that we selected. Unfortunately, the initial pile encountered a boulder, which was shown on the test borings, before reaching depth. So it was decided to continue the load testing phase on the shorter than expected pile, but the results were somewhat less than anticipated. So which would have required additional piles, and also by additional piles, a larger pile cap. And this concern, in addition to the potential for other boulders, drove a decision to change the pile type to a drilled hollow bar system, which is capable of penetrating boulders using a rock bit tooling. The hollow bar consisted 76 millimeter OD by 51 millimeter ID and was drilled 5 feet into bedrock. The hollow bar was load tested, so we did a second load test to an ultimate capacity of 123 kips in this case, and we only had 0.8 of an inch of total deflection, which is pretty good at 123 kips, obviously. That was a tension test too. We'll show a picture below. So upon completion and verification of the load test, the 8 production piles were installed, and then the 7 foot by 7 foot pile cap, 4 foot 6 inch thick, was constructed. And here we are installing the micro piles. They technically are kind of a micro pile, the hollow bar. This 76 millimeter kind of between Joe and the drill, and just behind them is the Stelcor pile that was installed previously that didn't achieve the depth because of the boulder conditions. This was pre-mass time during essential work for during the COVID pandemic. You would recall that the mask has only been required since the reopening, and wasn't an issue, and it wasn't even brought up until recently. So there's no mask being donned here, but that's actually the first image here is the top of the pile load test. This was for the Stelcor pile. It's a hollow jack or hollow ram there with a load cell on top of that, and then the thread bar goes up through. It's a thread bar connection to the Stelcor, and then there's a pair of beams side by side, deep heavy beams for reacting, and it's a tension pile test. Like it says, we're pushing up on that thread bar, and this is a view from below. There's a Stelcor pile with the connection to the thread bar. And then we have some instruments to measure the deflection of the pile during the load. This is a photo of some of the hollow bar. It's a substantial piece of steel element inside of the pile, and it's encased in the grout. Of course, they're drilled with a grout. As the borehole is advanced, the grout is injected through the center of the hollow bar. And there's the grout process going on. And that's it for the project from the photo archives. We're looking here at a Stelcor project where we completed here in 2014 at 237 North Winooski Avenue in Burlington. That site had and it was an ash fill site from one of the I believe maybe from not McNeil, but one of the other plants that would have been burning, I think, coal in the old days. So there was unsuitable soil conditions for foundation, so we installed the Stelcor piles to deeper foundation. So that's it for me, Matt. Turn it back to you. You all set, Matt?